welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm John Bachman. Joining us right now from Washington, D.C. is Congressman Jack Kingston of Georgia. He's just introduced a bill that targets illegal immigrants who receive the child tax credit. Now, according to the Congressional Budget Office, this cost American taxpayers over $4 billion a year. Congressman Kingston, it's great to have you with us.
John, thank you for having me. And this is a very important bill because it's a common sense way to save billions of dollars. And it's conservatively anywhere between $3 billion a year and upwards from that, maybe $4, maybe even more than that. So what has happened is that illegal aliens have been given the right to claim child tax credit. And it's so bad that one guy in Indianapolis was discovered to have claimed 20 children, and 19 of them live back in Mexico. The cost of $29,000 a year to taxpayers. It's just absurd. This is a common sense bill, and it really should just fly right through the floor of the House and even the Harry Reid Senate.
Well, some people may remember hearing about this a while back, starting in 2011, when the Treasury Department's Inspector General released a report titled, "Individuals who are not authorized to work in the United States were paid $4.2 billion in refundable credits." Tell us about the timing of this bill right now, why you think this issue needs to be before Congress.
Well, there's all of these kind of secondary issues that are related to immigration reform, and to me this is one of them. Frankly, I think it should pass freestanding, but in the event that it doesn't, it should be tied into whatever immigration package that we're considered, because again, this is just common sense. Somebody claiming children, and particularly an illegal alien claiming children that live in another country, and there's no verification, by the way, if they're out there or not. These can be fictitious names that are on the paper. What we want to do is say you have to have a taxpayer ID number and a Social Security number, and that way you know that the tax credit is going to a real child.
I believe some of the reporting, I think it was maybe the Washington Post that looked into this, and it showed that some of the money was even going out of the country. But if I could play devil's advocate here on the other side, when this issue was debated a while back in the House, it was a pretty emotional one when a similar bill was proposed, I think by Texas Congressman Sam Johnson back in 2012. And the GOP did take some heat from the National Council of La Raza and House Democrats, including a fellow member of the Georgia congressional delegation, Democrat John Lewis. La Raza and Lewis and others would say, and this is what they're saying, this would actually hurt the U.S.-born children of illegal immigrants. Are you concerned that Democrats are going to use this bill to paint you as anti-immigration during a time when the GOP is trying very hard to look more inclusive?
John, what we have seen, starting with this president in the White House, is that any time that the Democrats don't have logics and facts on their side, they argue emotion. So Republicans are always painted as people who hate children, hate education, hate seniors, don't like the poor, don't like the elderly. And, we can't walk around Washington being shell-shocked as Republicans. We have just got to say, you know what, what's right is right, and this is a common sense reform, and we understand you're going to call us all kinds of names because you can't argue with the logic of it. And so I think that this is just the environment that we're in today, but we've got to move forward with trying to save money and reduce the size of the deficit.
Now, there was some support on the Democratic side. I don't know how much, but I think I remember Claire McCaskill coming out and supporting the effort to address the issue. But as of right now, the House looks ahead to this debate on immigration. You talked about how this is important to get this out there, but do you think there's any chance, say if an immigration bill does go to conference, that this is something that could be included in a compromise deal that could actually pass the Senate?
Absolutely, because we have had that vote in the past, and there is some familiarity to it, and there's been fairly high-profile investigations on this sort of abuse. So I think that we do have a good chance of getting it into an immigration package if we can't pass it on a freestanding basis.
All right, so both sides are looking for areas of things that they can agree on. This might be one of those. I want to move ahead a little bit. Speaking of the Senate, you, of course, are embroiled in what might be the most intriguing Senate race in the country in 2014. I don't think I have time to list all of the candidates in the GOP primary, but you have raised more money than any of your opponents by a long shot. With such a crowded field, though, how do you plan to set yourself apart from your GOP rivals in this primary race?
Well, this isn't time for Georgia to send a rookie to the U.S. Senate. I think having a common sense conservative with a proven track record makes the most sense. I have a 95% lifetime American Conservative Union voting record. I have a 100% National Federation of Independent Business voting record for standing up for small businesses, and an A+ with the NRA. So in terms of being a solid conservative, I have the solid conservative track record. As somebody who's known for getting things done, when I was chairman of the Agriculture Appropriations Committee, I cut spending $3.6 billion. And so I can hit the ground running in the Senate. And I think a lot of members, or a lot of the people who are offering themselves for this office are airdropped, and they think, well, you know, I've never been in Washington, therefore somehow I'm holier than thou. But the startup cost for the state of Georgia, waiting for somebody like that to figure out where the bathrooms is, we'll be wasting a lot of time. So I look forward to the challenge of the good competitive competition in terms of this race. As you said, I think it's 6 or 7 people and counting. But you know, that's what the free market of ideas is all about. So I welcome the competition.
Yeah, we got Congressman Paul Brown, Congressman Phil Gingrey, among others out there. You know, whoever wins this GOP primary here, they're possibly going to be facing Michelle Nunn, a Democrat who just announced she was running. Her father is Sam Nunn, extremely popular when he held the Senate seat a while back. She's got the name recognition. And, you know, there are some pollsters out there. Georgia, of course, has been a solid red state in the past, but there are some pollsters predicting that Georgia is moving from a red state to perhaps a purple state because of growing minority populations. Is that affecting your approach during your Senate campaign, even in the primary?
Well, I actually come from a Democratic part of the state. I'm from Savannah, Georgia, Chatham County, that went 55% for Obama, yet I carried it by 53%, and I did it again with an A+ record from NRA, 100% from the National Federation of Independent Businesses, and 95% from the American Conservative Union. I have proven that you can be a solid conservative and still attract swing voters. And I think the reason is because I am known for getting things done. I'm a former businessman. I've been a big proponent of the widening and deepening of the Savannah Harbor, and there's 350,000 jobs in the state of Georgia that are related to it. And those are the kind of ideas that I have been promoting as a House member and will continue to promote as a senator. And I think that connects with a lot of people regardless of what their party is. You know, Georgia is not ready to send one more vote in the United States Senate for Harry Reid or for Barack Obama. We might not be as red as, say, South Carolina, but we are not a purple state.
All right, well, we'll see what happens and when this race gets started. Certainly very intriguing, as we mentioned before. I wanted to get your response real quick, though, by some of the comments made by Senators Ted Cruz, Bob Corker of Tennessee, both Republicans who kind of blasted the House for voting so many times to defund or repeal Obamacare, calling those votes empty gestures. What do you say to those comments?
I don't think they're empty gestures. I'm the chairman of the Labor, Health, and Human Services Committee in the House, and we completely defund Obamacare, and it is a bill that is ready to go. So you could actually pass it, and you would not be shutting down the government, but it reduces spending down to a 2001 level. It's a pretty solid piece of legislation, and it's one that I know the senators would embrace. I'm friends with Mike Lee and talked to him about it a little bit, and he thought it was a good idea and a good compliment to what their line in the sand is in the Senate in terms of let's get rid of Obamacare now. This is the time. Let's do it once and for all. So, you know, unfortunately, as long as Harry Reid is going to block a lot of the measures, we have to pass a lot of measures. Jim Moran today was lamenting, he's a liberal Democrat from Alexandria, Virginia, and he was saying, y'all have voted 40 times to defund Obamacare. Well, if it takes 100 times, let's get the job done. And sometimes in a divided society and a divided government, that's what you have to do. But I think it's very important for us to keep pushing, because Obamacare just isn't about bringing down the standards of health care and raising the cost of it. It's actually about you and I losing a lot of our personal freedoms and a lot of our choices. I don't want to have a bureaucrat in the room with me when I see my doctor.
Yeah, and I know there's some reporting coming out of Atlanta right now that shows that premiums are expected to go up pretty significantly as a result of Obamacare, but still a giant question mark, and that may be the most concerning thing about it to a lot of people at this point. Congressman Jack Kingston of Georgia's 1st District, you heard it there, Savannah, Georgia. So great to talk to you, sir. You have a good day.
Thanks a lot, John.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.